morning, everybody. You know exactly what time it is. So if you haven't yet, go grab your favorite mug of hot cocoa, a few of your favorite cookies, pull up a chair, and sit and chat with me a while in today's episode of Cocoa and Cookies. I'm so glad that you guys have decided to join me today. Last week I was quite overwhelmed with the amount of positive response that I got from this new little series I've decided to do on my channel, where I can just sit and chat with you guys about what's on my heart, and where you guys can chat with me down in the comments below. Some of you left some really great thoughts, and I had so much fun reading them and responding to them. So please keep that up. Let's keep the conversation going every week. I have so many different topics that I would like to talk about, and a lot of different topics that you guys have requested that I talk about, and so it's almost hard to know when I sit down, okay, which direction do I want to go today? So I'm just going right off at the cuff of my head and just gonna talk to you about whatever is on my heart at any given moment. Today I think I'm just going to jump in and talk to you guys. I had mentioned in one of the daily vlogs around the last week about talking to you guys about feelings and about being very careful not to let your feelings drive you every day. And I think that's kind of where I want to start in. Last week we talked about being thankful, since this is November and usually the month of giving thanks. If you guys didn't see that, make sure you take a look back at that one. I shared the story about my grandma with you guys. Hopefully today there won't be so many tears. Those tears just kind of came and flowed, and it's just reality and it's just life, which is what these cocoa and cookies are all about. So today maybe we can get through without quite so many of the tears flowing. But I did want to talk to you guys about that subject because it's a big one, especially for women. And although men can be driven by their feelings and emotions as well, women tend to have a lot more issue with this subject than the men do. So guys, if you are watching today, stay tuned and hang on, because maybe you'll get a little bit of insight that might help you in learning how to understand and deal with your wife. Or if you're still single and you're not married yet, in the future you will be getting you a wife at some point, and maybe this kind of information can help you understand her just a little bit better even before you say the big I do's. But emotions and feelings are a huge part of life. As a matter of fact, our emotions and our feelings are God-given. I believe they're a gift from God, good and bad. I don't think that God ever intended for us to be mindless little robots that just roam around life always feeling a specific way and behaving a specific way, because where would the fun be in that? He created life that we can have and enjoy it to its full, and part of that is having emotions and feelings. But the problem is that sometimes we let our emotions and our feelings get the best of us, get out of balance, and when that happens and when that begins to drive us, we have a huge problem. Sadly, I know too many people, and I have been one of those. As a matter of fact, if you will remember back during the vlogs, I had even called off Vlogtober at one point, and I was like, forget it, I'm not doing this anymore, because although my subscriber count on my channel does seem to be climbing a little bit, and people are coming to the channel, I still haven't been able to figure out exactly what is bringing people here. And I've even posted a video asking, you know, why are you guys here? Please comment down below, because I definitely want to create the content that you guys want to see. And I didn't get a lot of response to that. I did get a few responses. So it's just really been a confusing thing, okay? Are people here just for the couponing and the deals? Are people here because of the nail art, which is what drew a lot of people here in the beginning, because that's basically why I started the channel. Are people here now because they did enjoy the vlogs that were going on? Were people drawn here by DIYs? And I could never figure that out. Could not get a solid answer on that because the view count on the videos fluctuates so much. But what I seem to have the most views on are the couponing deals and, of course, Dollar Tree, because who doesn't love the Dollar Tree? So when I started out with Vlogtober, which I just thought would be a fun little thing to do to let you guys see inside our lives and maybe get to know me a little better and a little differently, I was having a lot of fun with it, but those vlogs were a lot of work because I did so much editing to try to make them enjoyable for you guys, to cut out boring parts of the day or whatever, and tried to add in music and just little things that would make the videos more fun for you guys to watch. But I noticed that the count was not going up. As a matter of fact, the view count for the first couple of weeks kept decreasing. So my emotions and feelings, of course, you know, you're disappointed and you're thinking, wow, I thought that these were something that would be interesting. Put a lot of work in these. I thought they were fun. And so just getting discouraged. So on a split-second decision one morning, I decided I'm not going to talk to my family about it. I'm not going to talk to anybody about it. I'm just done. I am so tired of putting all the effort and energy in and nobody's watching it, and I'm just going to go back to life every day and producing the kind of videos that I was before and whatever. So I got up that morning and I sat down and made my vlog for the day as my ta-ta farewell, see you later type video. And I just was having a rough day, and I kind of explained that a little bit in the vlogs, so I'm not going to go into that in a whole lot more detail. If you guys are interested in some of that, you can go back to the playlist and kind of watch there to see what all that was about. But my kids got together and started praying for me and trying to encourage me because it was just a really down and rough day. They had called some of their friends, and my daughter got on the phone right away, and she's like, you guys got to pray for Mom. She's having a bad day. She just kind of seems depressed and discouraged and all that. And so by the next morning, I was feeling so much better. And I got up and I ran in the kids' room, and they were just like, what's going on? And I said, just got to let you know, Vlogtober is back on. And then I run back out of the room to go get dressed for the day. And they were just like stunned and what's going on here? But it reminded me again how easily we can be led by our emotions. And I thought, you know, this is really a good reminder, because the older that I've gotten, the more mature that I have gotten and allowed myself to grow, not only physically, but spiritually, emotionally, and mentally, I've gotten pretty good about not going with every whim of emotion or every whim of feeling, because I learned a long time ago, feelings can lie. And if you make split-second decisions based on how you feel, you're going to be in trouble a lot more often than not. And that's just reality. But in that moment, that's exactly what I did. I allowed myself to make a decision based on how I was feeling, and I didn't talk to anybody about it. And that morning, that's exactly what I did. Here I found myself again knowing better, but yet yielding to how I was feeling. So I thought that would be a great topic to talk about, because one of the things that we have discovered, most of you by now are aware that I am an ordained minister. And with that responsibility, my husband and I through the years have done a lot of marriage counseling, people who are just in trouble with their relationships. And one of the things that seems to be a very common theme for a breakdown in relationships, even leading to divorce, is that people get carried away with their emotions and their feelings at any given moment, instead of pushing beyond that to looking at the reality of life through truth. And not only does it lead to marital conflict, but it leads to all kind of relational conflict. People end friendships every day because in a moment their feelings are hurt, and then that's it. I'm just giving up on this relationship, giving up on this friendship. Or somebody will do something really kind for them who may be a real stinker, you know, just a rotten person. And because that person does one nice thing, all of a sudden all these gushy emotions flare up, and then you're like, oh, this is my best friend, and you're not even stopping to take a look at the reality of what this relationship can do to you. And so that's really why I wanted to talk about this subject today, because we are really seeing, we're in a society and a culture right now that, in all honesty, maturity is, it's like a foreign concept and a foreign word. And we see more people than ever being led around every day by their feelings and their emotions. Now, like I've already stated, feelings and emotions are a good thing, and it's really good when those feelings and emotions actually align with the truth of a situation or circumstance. That's awesome and it's fantastic. But the problem is more often than not, our feelings and our emotions don't align with truth of a situation, and they fool us, they trick us, and then we make decisions, or we behave in certain ways, or we take actions in our life that are totally contrary to how we would behave if we really would stop and take a look at things through the proper perspective. And every single one of us is guilty of that. I don't know of one person, I don't care how old you may be, I don't care how many years you may have lived, and how much maturity and wisdom that you think that you have gained it through the years, you are just as guilty of this as the rest of us are. It's just a fact of life and humanity. We are driven at times by our emotions. And I just wanted to encourage all of us, myself again included, that it's really a dangerous way to live. I want to take an example, and just something that popped into my head, and take an example about, let's just say, an abusive situation between a husband and a wife. And some of you may be going through this kind of situation right now. Some of you may have been through it. I don't know. But what I do know is this is something that I feel led to share with you guys. Let's just take that kind of scenario for a moment. And let's just say that there is a man who is very dominating, controlling, jealous, and just plain out mean, who takes pleasure in beating on his wife. Or even if it's not a physical beating, a verbal beating, just abuse in every way towards this woman that he says he loves. The reality of the situation, and watching patterns of behaviors, especially over an extended period of time, would indicate to us that that is a very dangerous situation to be in, and one that no woman should have to be in the middle of. However, let's just say now we're talking about our emotions and our feelings and how they can lie to us. Let's just say that this man comes home and he's had a good day at work. He's been on cloud nine all day, and he comes home and he is your knight in shining armor. He is just putting on this show that you would think he is the greatest thing since sliced bread. And he comes in the house, and maybe he comes over to give you a big hug, and maybe inside you're a little afraid, like, oh my goodness, what's he approaching me for? Is he going to come hit me again? Is he fixing to holler at me? What's happening? But instead, he reaches around and embraces you, and he puts his arms around you and tells you how beautiful you are and how loving you are. Naturally, what we want to do in the flesh and in our humanity is think, oh, he's had a real epiphany and he is changed. He is awesome. Oh, this is so wonderful. And our feelings and our emotions get right in the middle of it. And here we are now ready to overlook every bad thing that has happened. Now, in this particular instance, I'm not talking about the issue of forgiveness, where we have to move beyond bad patterns of behavior in people's lives. I'm talking about an issue of wisdom and truth that can keep an individual safe or not safe. So because your emotions are flying high, and because your feelings are all gushy and probably a little romantic at this moment, it is easy for you in that situation to overlook the truth of what this individual really is and does. And for anybody who has lived through that kind of situation, you will know that at times an abusive person can be super great, and it's like the real them, the person that you fell in love with, but then it doesn't last long, and all of a sudden you're right back in the midst of the abusive situation all over again. And you've been in it long enough that you know that this is the pattern that's going to happen. Here's where our feelings and emotions can get in the way and can lie to us. Because in that moment where things seem so wonderful, we are willing to let go of all wisdom, almost of all cognitive reasoning that would tell us to escape a dangerous situation or to get our kids out of a dangerous situation. And because our feelings and our emotions are flying so high in that moment, we are willing to really act out of stupidity in a lot of cases, for lack of a better word. We're willing to totally overlook the truth of a situation because we're being led by those feelings. And the reverse is also true. Let's just say that you have the greatest marriage on the planet, the greatest relationship since the original relationship in the Garden of Eden between Adam and Eve, who lived in a state of perfection for a while and had the perfect relationship. And so let's just say that that's yours and things are just wonderful. You have a spouse that brings you flowers or brings you candy, tells you all the time how much he loves you and compliments you, and this is what you're used to, and this is the pattern, this is the truth, the reality of your situation. All of a sudden one day your husband just makes a really bad decision, and he comes in the door and he makes a smart crack about how fat you might look today, and why didn't you dress up and you're just in your sweatpants and I don't like to come home to that. All of a sudden now your feelings and emotions have taken a downward turn. And if you're not careful, those feelings and emotions will lie to you that you have the worst husband on the planet. He's so negative, so critical, never lifts you up, never has a good thing to say. And all of a sudden now you have taken a very negative outlook on what otherwise has been a great relationship. I hope you guys are kind of seeing what I'm trying to convey to you. That in one instance our feelings can lie to us and keep us in a state of making choices that are harmful to us. But in another way, our feelings and emotions can lie to us and make us make decisions against what is beneficial to us. And herein lies the problem. I have seen far too many people that, especially in social media, that's a good way to kind of watch and observe how people are and how they relate to each other. But I have watched it between two people who you hear such negative things out of their mouths against each other and they just can't stand each other. But one nice thing happens and all of a sudden on Facebook they're just the best of friends. And forget all the stuff that's happened in the past. This is just a wonderful person. But then when that person messes up and makes the same mistakes they've always made, now here we are back again to the war. And it really damages the character of those people because of the wishy-washiness, the up 1 minute, down 1 minute. I'm posting all these positive, great things, and then the next minute I'm posting all these negative things, and my life is just this ups and downs, and that is not maturity, my friends. It's just, and it's no way to live. It's not only discouraging and annoying, for lack of a better word, to everybody who's around you who watches these ups and downs, but it's really disheartening for you yourself if you're living that way. There's no way that there can be pleasure and joy in that. Trust me, I know, I've been there. And it's just, I think it is an epidemic because we have too many people who are immature in their own mental state, who haven't learned to push through feelings and emotions, who can detect that feelings and emotions can lie to us at times, but that we have to make decisions based on truth and wisdom. We have too many of those kind of people who have had their children and raised their children, and their children have watched this pattern of behavior in their life. And so now there's a whole new generation who respond to life through their emotions. And as a matter of fact, I really don't call it responding at all. I call it reacting. People who allow their emotions and their feelings to dictate their life often react to situations instead of responding. And there is a huge difference. Somebody can can do something horrible to me in a moment. I'll just take, for instance, I'm reminded of a time that my daughter and I were in the Dollar Tree of all places, and there was this elderly woman who walked up. Now, my daughter and I had been on this aisle for a little bit of time, and we're looking through the cosmetics, all the makeup and the nail polishes, and for those of you who love Dollar Tree as much as we do, sometimes that can take a while because we want to look, see what we want to get. Well, she had come around the corner, and she wanted to stand where we were standing, and she was just rude about it. Excuse me, I need to get there. So here I was faced with a circumstance. I could either react to her because it ticked me right off. You know, I don't care how old you are, age does not give you a reason to be rude. And even though younger people should respect older people, and we teach that and believe that, it doesn't automatically make an older person right. And so it just really went all over me. So here I was in that moment where I could react out of my emotions in that moment, or I could take a deep breath, give myself a moment to really think about what was happening, and then respond. And that's exactly what I did. I calmed myself down, had a little internal conversation, and then politely but firmly said to her, ma'am, my daughter and I are looking at these cosmetics, and when we're done, then you can get here. But we're not moving just to let you jump ahead of us in this moment. And I think that's just a good example of exactly what I'm talking about. We can either be led by our emotions and feelings, or we can be led by truth in a moment and in a situation. And I just really think that it's time that we all start coming up a little bit higher in how we respond to people or situations or circumstances. And that we quit allowing our emotions and our feelings to just, for lack of a better way to say this, dumb us down. Our feelings and emotions can totally make us check our brain off, you know, can close all of our reasoning and our thinking, and then we begin to react and respond sometimes out of these emotions and these feelings, and it just makes life so horrible in a lot of situations. So that's just really what I wanted to talk about today and challenge you guys. Let me know. Let's talk about it down below. Do you find yourself reacting quickly and allowing yourself to be thrown around and tossed and up and down every moment of the day because at one moment you're feeling great and then the next moment you're feeling down and life looks great and then it looks horrible? Have you found yourself there? Have you been there in the past but you've learned how to overcome all that? And if so, how did you do it? You know, help us out. Let's talk about it. Let's have the conversation below, because I think it's time that we all come up a little higher. And although we're all going to have momentary lapses where we fall right back into it, I've already admitted to you guys I did that with Vlogtober. It doesn't have to dictate and consume the way we conduct our lives altogether. So let's talk about it. I really would like to hear if you have questions on how to overcome it. Of course, for me, it is growing spiritually, becoming closer to God, and allowing my thoughts, my actions, and my attitude align with the Word. Other people may have found different ways to overcome letting their emotions, but it is a conversation that I think we need to have, because far too many people lose jobs because they quit on the spur of the moment because they're just mad at a situation, or they tell somebody off and then live to regret it later, because words never die and our words contain power, which that would be a great cocoa and cookies to do actually. There are so many things that we can mess up when we are going by our emotions and our feelings. I see it on YouTube all the time. You know, somebody will come on and make a negative comment to one of us, or thumbs down our video or whatever, and then the next thing you know, here is this very reactionary video going back up where people are just mad and causing all this drama on their channel over a comment, when the reality is, if you would just slow down, stop, and respond, then your response video will seem a lot more mature, it will seem a lot more directed, and will have a lot more impact, because you'll be speaking out of something that you really thought through, rather than throwing off of the cuff in the moment and throwing up this reactionary video that really makes you look a lot more immature and causes a lot more drama in the long run. So it really is an issue that it pervades every part of life. There's no section of life that's immune to our feelings and emotions possibly getting in there. So let's talk about it and have that conversation. I really would like to hear your thoughts on that, whether you've learned the hard way or you're learning it now or whatever. And hopefully all this has made some sense, because trying to convey things and talk about issues without somebody actually there face to face can at times be a little tricky. And I'm not sure if I've almost talked in a circle or if it really has been beneficial at all. So definitely leave your comments below and let's have this conversation. I also just want to remind you guys that if you do like inspirational, devotional messages, don't forget to check out my second channel over at Dina Rose Ministries. And also don't forget about the giveaway. The giveaway for those Christmas washi tapes is still open until the 13th. So be sure to check out DeeVine DeeZine on Instagram and see what all the rules are for that. If you want a little more information about the giveaway, then make sure you go back and look for the video that's titled Christmas Washi Tape Haul and Giveaway, I believe is the title there, so that you don't miss out on a chance to win some of those Christmas washis. There are 6 of them that I'm fixing to be giving away, so that's still open. I do want to say thank you so much for sitting here with me, especially if you've made it all the way to the end. This one was kind of long, and some of you might have already bailed by now, but for those of you who stuck it out, thank you so very much. Thank you for giving me some of your time. Thank you in advance for joining the conversation below, and thank you for helping us all grow together. I hope that you have enjoyed this episode of Cocoa and Cookies, and we look forward to seeing you next week.